Yeah, we're rolling.
So I'm going to start off with a couple random musings. One we were just talking about, which was when people get your name wrong at like drive-thrus and stuff like that. And you mentioned that you're Sterling Scott, but you just go with Scott.
Yeah, I go with Scott. I mean, the name Sterling, it like when you're doing that over a phone or anything, it's not gonna. It sounds like Sturman. You know what I mean? And it's like. It's too hard for people to understand, especially if you get somebody from a different country. Oh, Lord.
Tough.
So I'm just like Scott. I just go by Scott. And, fortunately, I have two first names. So, you know what I mean? I just go with Scott.
Scott hits. Like,
yeah, you can't get it wrong.
It is.
If you spell it wrong, you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like Scott. And they go, how do you spell it? And I go, Stupid. That's what you are to me.
What's the worst one you heard? What's the worst one you heard for Sterling? Like if
Sherman is probably the worst.
That happens a bit.
That's often. Sherman is the most often one. It's like Sherman. Yeah,
I would be
Sturman
like,
I'm like, okay, that's what they name me. Who's gonna name me Sturman? You know what I'm saying? I've heard sturgeon. It's just a stupid thing. It's like, really? I'm like, think about what you just said. Think about what you just said.
Sturgeon. You think I'm a fish?
You didn't stop to yourself and say, what was that again? You know what I mean? That's all you say. And I would have been like Scott or something. You know what I mean? But you're just gonna go with, yeah, man, his name's Sturman. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. But like with your name, Wayne, you don't really get a lot of trouble, do you?
I do actually. They never hear Wayne. They always hear Rain. And a lot of times I'll try to correct them, but they still hear Rain. So we never get anywhere. Like I can't, because when I say Wayne, it's almost like the W comes in soft. So they just hear Wayne, and then they just say Rain.
You got
Missy Elliott. Well, I could stay here all day trying to convince you, or I could just, let's see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what you put on the form for my application. If it's Rain Jones, whatever, man, that's all good.
You got some, I can't stand the rain.
Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, do you care?
No, I don't care at all, but and I understand why, because Wayne actually rhymes with a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. If I want to freestyle, Wayne's like the best name to rhyme with. I can go Wayne, I can go Rain, I can go Pain with the chain, Insane, Great Dane. That's I always leave that one. Try to bring the dog in there.
But that like left you open for when you were a kid for them to like make fun of your name, like when when they would make a nickname or something.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that with Sterling. You know what I'm saying? I never really had a nickname
Sterling
growing up.
Silver. Did you ever get that?
I mean, yeah, I got that all the time, but that's like that's not like
that's a lateral. It's not really.
Yeah,
it's just.
Yeah,
whatever.
You know what I mean, it's like
Sterling Silver.
What are they gonna call you?
It's not that bad, actually.
Sounds like a pirate name.
Yeah. Sterling Silver, Ari matey.
You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing really to go with it, so it's just kind of like. I just got like boring names.
That should be your Halloween costume one year. Just put an eye patch on. Sterling Silver, here to steal all your silver. Sorry, all we got is gold. No, I only want your silver.
I can't use it.
It's worth 10 times less, but that's all I want.
It's because I'm using it. It's gonna go up in value one day. But did you know about that back when I first heard about Bitcoin? One of the big things was silver. That they were like, there's not enough silver on the planet, and if you don't buy it right now, it's gonna run out, and when it runs out, then you're just gonna go up in value. And people were buying silver at $50, $54 an ounce.
Yeah.
And its regular value was like $20, but people were paying so much for it.
Right.
And now it's like, what happened to that? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I get mad at conspiracy theory people, because they never follow through. They never come back and be like, my bad, dog, I was wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, they're still mining silver, bro, and it never went to $50.
What is it? What's it at? What's silver at right now?
$33 about right now.
$33. So a $50 buy would have been a bad buy.
I mean, $50 buy buy that anytime.
Yeah, but it's not only conspiracy people, it's actually financial experts on TV that will say this, and when they're wrong, they gloss over it so fast.
Yeah,
I missed the mark a bit on that Sterling thing, that silver thing back in a while.
Yeah,
but anyways, and just to move forward, you're like, well, no, I put my whole everything into that.
But I do not take away from them. I just wish that they would follow through more, because there was a lot of conspiracy theories about the vaccine, and I'll be honest, I'm not pro-vax or anti-vax, but I do say that it's fucking weird that you're giving away prizes and forcing people to get vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? If this is something that's supposed to be good for you, why are you forcing people? Why are you, anytime, think about it. If you're a hunter, how do you catch the prey? You put something out. You bait them. It's a fucking trap, right? Why are you telling people I'll give you hot dogs, I'll give you lottery tickets? Why?
No, it's weird.
Why? It's fucking weird, man.
It is.
And then when I looked up on the Edmonton, Alberta fucking website, Alberta, Canada, you can go to it. It says, even if you're double vaccinated, by the way, you still can get the virus again and you still can transmit it. Then what the fuck is the point?
But I think it's funny about how they're doing the lotteries and stuff like that
That's
for the vaccines.
fucking annoying to
because
me.
I wonder, like, it's so funny. Like, it's almost like in different locales they need to do different things. Like, what would they need to give away in Alberta for people to get the vaccine? Like, let's say it wasn't a lottery. Like, what would they have to give away here? Like Oilers tickets?
Other cities have done that.
Yeah.
Other cities have done. The first city that I ever saw was giving away hot dogs and pop. I believe in Toronto they're giving away.
Those people
they're
don't
giving
demand
away
much.
tickets. They're giving away tickets to games,
Wow.
like Raptors tickets and stuff. They really are doing that. Like, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
They literally have one where one is I'll give you $100 or something. There's like one that they'll give you $100. There's all kinds of, each province and state has a weird kind of thing where they're trying to like sell you.
Saskatchewan is like a fishing rod and a tractor.
You know what I mean?
You get a fishing rod and a tractor if you get a vaccine.
Jeez.
You know?
You go to Cranbrook, it's like, we'll let you say the N-word. And they're like, oh, I'll get the vaccination. I'll get 2. Can I get 2? It's fucking weird, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you doing that? Now, okay, so your medical information is supposed to be private to yourself, right? They're now trying to pass a law and develop an app that allows you to be tracked in the world to know every vaccination you've had and what your medical record is. That's fucking insane.
Right. And it's also just weird, too, about how people now talk about each other's medical history like it's not private anymore.
Yes.
Like, did I ever go to you before and go, hey, tell me all the vaccines you've got?
Yeah.
Tell me all the medical stuff that you've done. Like, what's the latest shot
fucking
you've got from
weird.
the doctor and stuff? And now it's like, oh, are you vaccinated? Which kind did you get? How many did you get? How many doses? This and this and this. And it's like, I was thinking that because, like, for instance, the Fringe Festival is coming back this year. So I'm, going to be in one show and I'm thinking of putting together another show. And I'm just thinking, like, as far as comedy, yeah, of course we talk about the things that are topical, but I also like to avoid the stuff that everybody always talks about in shows, because a lot of times the show is an escape from all that stuff. So for instance, when Trump was in power and it was constant Trump, I didn't really want to joke about Trump in the shows because everybody had to deal with it on a day-to-day thing all the time. Come to my show and let me take you somewhere else. We talk about anything. If Trump came out, we'll still do it, but just to not off the top be like, hey, this and that directly about what we always have to like painfully go through all the time. I think sometimes current events can be like too current and too in our face these days. I think back in the day before the internet and or like when the internet was just getting going, there's probably like, it was probably the best time to do it at a comedy show. Now we hear 50,000 different opinions on it before we get there.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
Instead of hearing that one Richard Pryor come out and talk about that thing, it's like a release at that point. Now it's like
constant in your face and everybody's. And you know what I hated when I first was getting into the internet was that I would, and you still see to this day, you see regular people would go to comedy shows, listen to comedians, take their punchlines and then post them. And then people are like, oh, that's hilarious. Now that comedian goes on stage and tells that joke and they go, oh, you stole a meme. And it's like, no,
I made
you stole
this
my
up.
joke. I saw a comedian in Chicago post one of my old jokes. It was an old joke I used to do. And here's the joke. It was a street joke. And I don't mind that it was reposted because I made this joke with the intention of I wanted to have a street joke out in the world.
right.
So the street joke was, and I told it in a few places in Alberta, and I posted it one time on Twitter, right? Which
That's
is
where they
good,
get it all,
because it
is
timestamps
Twitter.
it, so they know it actually is mine.
Right.
But the joke was, quite simply, I was at the police station, and there was a little person at the time. The joke, I would say midget. There was a little person. He was reporting a crime. He told the police officers that he got pickpocketed. And I was like, who would stoop so low?
Right.
And I saw someone post it on their thing as a meme. And I'm like, I wrote that joke like 8 years ago, but there's now somebody passing it off like it's theirs.
Yeah.
And that's what I hated about the internet. And the problem with that is exactly the problem with what you just were talking about, because now you get every idea and joke that people see, they'll steal it and repost it, and now it's cluttered all over the internet. So now when you go to a show, it's like I've been bombarded with this every day, and now I need an escape.
Right.
So it's like I hear what you're saying on that, and it's like, yeah, you know what? When stories were passed by word of mouth, when they were at the best.
Yeah.
Because now I believe it's oversaturated.
Right.
And it's like the idea has been beaten
And
down.
sometimes it can be hard to find the original source of something too. Twitter is the worst. I mean, that must have happened through Twitter. That's what I would bet.
Yeah, I posted it one time on Twitter.
Twitter is the worst for that. You'll see a very creative tweet about something, and then the next day you'll see that exact same tweet. The first one had 4,000 retweets, and the second one that was the stolen one has 22,000 retweets. The stolen one by the bigger person with the bigger platform always, and then and I go into the comments, and it's weird. It's like a weird, painful thing for me to do this, but I go into the comments to see all the people that are giving props to the stealer for doing it. I go look at that just because I'm in awe of that situation that's happening, like how fucked up it is. Not because I enjoy it. I don't like it at all. But it's like, wow. And then a month goes by and you'll see it again from somebody else.
Yeah.
And we're in that world where that's just a given. That just happens now. I think the way you fight it is just to constantly come out with stuff and be funny all the time.
Yeah, you
because
have to.
People will then tune in and go, this guy's a wealth of comedy. This way, it will always come. You know, people will steal and use whatever, but those people who steal, people will eventually recognize that all they do is repost and steal. Whereas people will recognize that if you're coming out with fresh stuff all the time, it's always something new from you.
But it is difficult to come up with fresh stuff because it's like, you know what I mean? Comedy is hard, and it's like you can go through a writer's block, you know what I mean? You can have a joke that's amazing, that was your closer stolen, and now it's like, fuck, what do I do? So it's like, it's not easy to constantly be putting out
but it is
quality
hard to fight.
content.
It is hard to fight it.
It is hard to fight, and that's why a lot of people will, when they say to me, hey, Sterling, how many clips do you have on the internet? I have one from 2012. And they're like, why don't you have more? I want to see more. And I go, that's the point. Come to the show.
Right.
Oh, but I want to watch it on the... Then when you come to the show and you'll be like, oh, you told the same jokes on the internet. It's like, dummy, that's why I told you to come to the show.
Right.
So what I have on the internet is jokes that are funny that I'm never going to do again. So take them. Right. Enjoy them.
Right.
That's what I do. You see how you laughed and you see how you want more?
Yeah.
Good. Come to the show now.
And you get the fresh stuff.
I'm not putting out no more content on the internet. Everything I do is like crowd work and stuff like that where I'm talking. I'm not putting out any content and people are like, oh, that's stupid. And I go, really? How much material do you think the average comedian has? The average comedian who's been in the game for 15 to 20 years has about 2 to 3 hours of material. 2 to 3 hours. So if you take
and most likely one of those hours is new. Yeah. And the other 1 or 2 are older.
And so it's like now you take 30 minutes of that, right? And you take 10 from each of those 1 hours and you post them on the internet. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to do those jokes on stage and the same motherfuckers will be like, oh man, he's telling the same jokes from the internet. Yeah, it's called an act. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that you think that this is all happening in the moment just goes to show how good the talent was. Yeah. Right? Because what they're doing is taking the now, what's happening in the room, and they're taking their jokes and they're composing it to fit this crowd, and they're moving and you know what I mean? It's like, you know, Mickey Mouse in Fantasia when he's just raising the fucking crowd. That's what they're doing with the laughs.
I don't think I've ever watched that sober. I think every time I watched Fantasia, I was on something.
I'm gonna try watching Fantasia on mushrooms. I really want to do that.
That's the way to do it.
I want to do that
acid,
because it's
acid. I haven't done that, but that's what
I think I'm gonna try. But I think I might get tripped out by the brooms. When the brooms start fucking
dancing,
that's scary, man. Because they keep breaking and coming back, and they keep putting the water, and it's like, it's funny because it kind of symbolizes to me money. You see, when Mickey was trying to get them to fill the way that I look at the water that they were putting in that well, and it overflowed, and it caused disaster. I look at it like money. Money is endless. And so if money is your pursuit, there's no end to it. So there's no satisfaction. And so if there's no satisfaction, you become miserable. And when you're miserable, you inflict that on the world. And that's what I think about billionaires. Because like no matter how much money they have, there's not enough. So instead what they have to do is continue to make, but there's no end to it. So the well is just causing chaos. Right. And that's, you know what I mean? I wasn't on mushrooms when I thought about that. I was on weed.
What are the top? what would we say are the top, top movies that or series or TV show that people say like, yo, you need to be fucked up when you watch that?
What's
like,
that
like
one
what
with
have you
the-
heard are the most common movies that people say you should be high?
Fear
or
and
you should
Loathing
be
in
on
Las Vegas.
Mushrooms, yes, for sure.
And then what's the one with the jungle? What's the one with the people? They were in the jungle. It's all the tall blue people.
Avatar.
Avatar is another one that people say to watch on mushrooms.
You hear of any?
I watched Avatar on edibles and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Avatar.
I watched
Another
it.
vote
I
for
watched it on.
Avatar?
I watched Avatar on mushrooms, and I got mad because the guy who's the star, right? He literally was logging a journal of when he's gonna mess up these people's world. And then as their world is falling apart, he's like, "Oh, your world's falling apart. Let me help you." And it's like, take your baby leg ass out of here. You took on the body of something that you're not, and you're trying to bang the hot chick in the crew. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's like
get your baby leg ass
Yeah.
out of here. You with your leg. You're not even a quitter. You trying to bang a 7-foot goddess,
Yeah.
and your legs don't work. Take your baby leg ass out of here. But now you a hero? Fuck out of here.
Sex-
and then they
sex
survived.
sells,
Then they
you know?
saved his ass. I fucking hated that guy so much. He made a daily journal. Day 43. I've now ridden stuff, and we're about ready to infiltrate. And then when they infiltrate, he's like, "Oh, they infiltrated faster than I thought." Yeah, shut up. It doesn't. I was so mad, and I was so mad at that guy the whole time. I was like, "Kill him, kill him!" And then when they brought him, when they
You're on
saved his
mushrooms?
life,
You're on
yeah.
mushrooms?
Well, I was so mad at him because I'm like, "Yo, this guy's a traitor."
Yeah.
He destroyed. He's sitting there trying to act like he's saving this nation, but the reason why the war happened is because of him.
Right.
He brought them there,
Right.
and now he's trying to act like he saved them. Bro, you destroyed them. It's your fault.
Right,
And
right.
yet they still saved him. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I got mad because I was like, "Yo, we're too nice. We're too nice as people, man." Because yo,
You just see everybody in the theater enjoying it, and you just look over and just fuck.
every time he was logging that journal, I got mad. Every time he was logging in that journal, because he would log in that journal and he'd be like, "I'm gonna fuck up these people,"
Dude,
and then he would go back into the place and run around. It was fuck.
Dude, I watched.
Oh, so mad.
I watched 2 movies on mushrooms, and I never do it again. First of all,
Uh-oh.
I'm a lightweight when it comes to mushrooms. I can't even handle the tiniest bit, but I did a lot of these times. But I was really young the first time. I think I was about 13 or so, or 14. And I don't know if you guys remember this movie that came out a long time ago called Ants.
Yeah,
But the movie Ants was like, it was like pre-Pixar. I don't think it was Pixar.
yeah, it was Pixar.
It was like a ripoff from Bugs.
yeah, it was a ripoff, but
So-
it was intense.
So Ants came
that
out,
should not have been a
and
child
so-
movie.
No, so we did mushrooms and went to watch it here, and I barely held on for dear life because it was one of those things where you go into the movie theater and you're late getting in the movie theater, and there's only the front rows left.
Yeah.
So we had to go sit in like the third of the front row and basically
Oh.
stare up at the screen like this. And then next thing you know, man, these ants were coming out of the screen. And I was closing my eyes and
Oh
just
my
freaking out.
God.
But I think I was with some girls and stuff, and I didn't want to look like a baby, so I like just tried to make it through this whole thing. But all I remember is like it felt like when you were. Did you remember the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yes.
And remember the big water droplets coming in the
First movie I
the
watched in the
ants. Remember
theater.
how big the ants were for them?
Yes.
I felt like I was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids on shrooms watching ants downtown Edmonton. That was wow. The second movie I watched on mushrooms that put the nail in the coffin of never doing it again was I went with a bunch of guys, and we were older. We were maybe like 19, 20, and I was we were probably causing trouble and thinking we were pretty cool and tough at that time. And I went and we were like, let's go watch Freddy. Was it Freddy vs. Jason?
Yeah.
Freddy vs. Jason or something like that. Or let's go watch that movie at South Common. We go in there. We first of all, we take, this is a funny story too. So we take we pull up in my car. I remember I had some cash in my center console, and I had a little bit of weed in the car. And we pull up there and we all eat the mushrooms. And some guys are having a cigarette in the car. And my buddy's freaking out in the back. Let me out of the car. I know this guy having a smoke in the car. Let me out. Okay, we're here at the movie theater. Okay, let's just go in. So we get out, take care of that cigarette situation, go into the movie theater. We get in there. We sit in the back. We're all flying on mushrooms, right? This movie starts and I am fucking terrified the moment it's ominous music right away. Worst idea. Like it didn't.
Yeah.
There was no
Yeah.
slow build. It was instantaneous fear. And minute by minute, we start going sideways in our chairs, out of our chairs. I'm holding on to my friend, covering my eyes. I'm in the aisle at one point, kind of rolling down the stairs. It's like everything that you see was just like, yeah, oh. It was just these like psychological terror shots. I don't think you could have possibly done something worse than that at that moment. We literally all somehow ended up in the aisle holding on to each other. There's 4 of us holding on to different parts of each other's legs and shoulders, not even in our seats, in the aisle. And then all of each other said, fuck it, let's get out of here. And 5 minutes into the movie, we all run out down the stairs, not even out into the lobby, but just straight out the emergency exit door into the parking lot in front of the whole place watching us, right? Gone, done. I think I had texted my buddy from inside the thing to come pick us up. And he came and picked us up. And then we went downtown with him, ended up lying on the grass at the legislature looking at the sky. And I broke down the meaning of life to everyone. I forgot that my car was there with all the windows down, with money and weed in the car until the next day. And the next morning, I go back at 11 a.m. to South Common. My car's sitting in the middle of the parking lot, all the windows down, and there's no other cars in the parking lot. I go up to it, open up, check, money's there, weed's there. I have the keys, and just drive home. I go, I'm the luckiest guy ever. But that was the last time I did mushrooms and watched a movie.
You make terrible life decisions.
That's a theme. That's a theme.
You make terrible life decisions.
Maybe that's the name for the podcast. terrible life decisions.
Holy shit. You make terrible. The first time I did mushrooms, I did it alone. I didn't do it alone. I did it with a friend in the safety of my living room. You know what I mean? I want to be in a safe space. This motherfucker said, let's go to watch a movie that sober people watch and get scared.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to do it on a hallucinogenic drug that lets me see things.
I really thought I was tough at that point, and I learned that I was not.
And you were 19, 20. That's a crazy time.
Yeah.
I didn't even smoke weed at that time. I didn't start smoking weed until I was like 35.
Yeah.
So it's like, your brain is still developing, and you were destroying
well,
it.
Ants, I was like 13. Ants was like, I really thought I was
on mushrooms at 13?
At 13,
That's wild.
I know.
Oh
it
my
was just
God.
around. It was just around everywhere, and you saw it like. And I didn't get any warning. Nobody warned me. My mom is like such an angel, and she didn't know about a lot of that stuff. And then my dad just was busy. You know, he didn't really warn me about these things. So when I found them, I was just like, sure, let's give them a try. I did always know to stay away from cocaine, just because. By that time, like by the 90s, it was known that cocaine was like horrible for you if you continued to do it. So there was enough stuff out there in the literature and TV that like showed me like, hey, if you continue to do cocaine, you end up on the street like in bad shape. But that never came out. The only thing was with weed was they had that Dare commercial way back in the day where he was like, hey, I got a joint. You want to join me? And he's like, I don't think so, man. I don't really want to do that. He goes, what are you, chicken? And he goes,
yes!
And then the kid goes, I may be chicken, but you're a turkey. And then boom, he runs away. And that was the commercial. I may be chicken, but you're a turkey. And I would love to have seen the writer's room that came up with that amazing.
It was probably a bunch of moms. But don't you remember the other one where it's like the classic one? This is your brain.
Yeah.
This is your brain on drugs.
The Friday.
And I'm like, that's a fucking shut up. No,
Yeah.
it's not. Then they had another one where they're like, when you're getting high, it's actually oxygen being cut off to the brain, which is making you feel that euphoric sensation. And all I was thinking was, so if I cut off the oxygen to my brain, I'm gonna get higher? Fuck yeah! Like,
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip, bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
And I was also like, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. And they fried a couple eggs. I'm like, those just look delicious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just
I
hungry
mean,
now.
who wants an egg
I want-
still in the shell?
Yeah, I want
It's only when
breakfast.
that egg is broken that it has any value.
That's when I have a lovely breakfast.
Exactly. So
And then they had the one that was like the song. I don't know if this is just Canadian television either. It probably is. But it was like, what was that song one? Remember?
drugs. Which
Want
are
some
good, which are bad. Drugs. Ask your mom and ask your dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
baby. You know what? Speaking of drugs, let's go smoke a thing, yo.
Let's go smoke a thing, yo. And we'll be back.
Teenage Mutant
Ninja Turtle, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, turtles in a half shell, turtle power. They're the world's most fearsome fighting machines. It's like a fucking banger.
Leonardo leads,
Donatello does machine. That's a rap. It's cool. Raphael is cool but rude. Michelangelo is a party dude. Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, turtles on a half shell, turtle power. And we watch that every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Everybody did.
Why is it that I can't remember what I did on Tuesday, but I just... Yeah! Yo, this is it.
Turtles in a half shell.
Most fearsome fighting team.
We're really happy.
We're really
These are
happy.
the good parts, the ad libs.
Yeah.
Yo.
Grab.
Don't cut him no slack.
Wow.
Yo, this is hilarious.
Does machines. That's a fat Jack. Michelangelo is a party dude.
Teenage Mutant
Party!
Ninja Turtles.
So Michelangelo
is Danny Martinello to me. Like Danny Martinello is not Michelangelo.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
talks like
yeah.
him. He's just him. Everything is about Danny Martinello is fucking thing.
Debo illuminated it to me when I was sitting there talking to Debo, and I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, something like, this guy thinks he's Madonna, eh? And I'm like, oh, like you like Madonna? She's like, no, I don't really know who Madonna is. And I'm like,
It's just like something
I'm
to
like,
say.
you don't know
he's
who
got the line.
Madonna
She's like, I know
is?
she's like lit and stuff.
God
But I'm
damn.
like, yo, we got to do a Madonna. So I took 20 minutes out of the day just to teach her about Madonna.
Yeah,
right?
Madonna's an icon.
You know, I had to. Because
Oh
you
my
can't just
God.
have someone say, like, I don't really know who Madonna is. Like, you got to be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, here's Madonna. Because she was like the highest selling artist of all
she's
time.
very influential.
At that time. She was like the
She was
Drake
very
of
sexual.
the 80s. The female Drake of the 80s.
Well, she was also like very, sex positive. She,
Very forward, pushing for
Yeah.
women's sexuality.
She was
Absolutely.
the Beyonce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
80s and 90s.
But even more, like, she was like
yeah, she was really big. She was big. She was a
really,
big deal.
really like
And when she did
controversial.
movies,
Really
she
controversial.
was a big deal. When she was ever in a movie,
They would try to ban her and stuff sometimes too.
they put her in Dick Tracy. That was
Yes,
a big
Dick
one. When she was in
Tracy.
Dick Tracy.
Yes.
Wow, did you
What a
see
movie.
Dick Tracy? Man, I'm gonna
That's a
die soon.
good-
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is one of the when they did that
You're
one.
one foot in the grave, bro.
that had such a star-studded cast.
Star-studded.
Al Pacino, fucking
Warren Beatty is
Warren
Dick
Beatty,
Tracy.
Madonna, and I can't remember all the other people. But it was stacked with just
Yeah.
stars in it, and it's like I don't think anybody even remembers that. Like, and all the characters and how they made them dress exactly like the comic book characters. So they had ridiculous shoulders and they had like weird plastic faces. But it was like that's their world. Like they had a guy like flat top, his head's flat.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
that's a
stone
good
face.
one to go back and watch for the 90s
Man.
for sure. Like those are ones that I would put on like a list of like a top 15, go back and watch
yeah,
it.
that's
Not
a go back and
necessarily what
watch.
the most popular movie was, but like just from that era that was dope.
Number one that all of them should watch is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
That is fucking the first. That's amazing.
I don't think I wasn't allowed to watch that
That
one
shit
either.
gave me nightmares for sure.
I wasn't allowed to watch
That
it
was my
either.
first one. But yo, they were killing cartoons. Like, yo, this guy was literally taking like cartoon characters and he was dipping them in the shit and murdering them. And they're like, don't put me in there. Remember he took the shoe?
Yeah.
And the shoe's like, no, please, no. And he's like, and he
It's
murders
torture.
the shoe.
Yeah.
And then his hand came out blood red. And it's like, what the fuck? And then like how they catch them is by cartoon shit. So he's sitting in the back wall and he's like, all cartoon characters can't help themselves. Snip and a haircut. And Roger Rabbit's in the back like, ah! And he's like, snip and a haircut. That's all he's doing, walking around the bar, going snip and a haircut. And then he breaks out the wall and he goes, 2 bits. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he's like, I can't help it. I'm a toon. And he fucking gets arrested. It was great.
You know what was the thing about that? You know what was the thing about
Danny,
that?
Danny, whatever what his name is a fucking alcoholic. He's an alcoholic detective getting a bar.
Do you remember how people would
Oh.
say? Remember how people would say like, because there was a whole thing about how when I was a kid, it's like Jessica Rabbit gets out of the car
Oh, no, she's the
and,
hottest thing in
and
the
her
world.
legs
Banging.
open and you can like see her private area. So when you were a kid, it was like you're like 6 years old, you're 6 years old, and you're like, did you hear, like, if you watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit, if you slow it down, you could like see in her under her skirt and everything. And that was the thing around the whole school. Everybody knew that. You heard that?
You didn't.
You hear that?
I didn't hear that, but I know
You didn't
for
hear
a fact that if you saw Jessica Rabbit and you didn't hump the mattress for Jessica, and you guys know what I'm talking about when you in your bed and you think about Jessica Rabbit and you give, you know what I mean, just a hump, you know what I mean?
Someone out there
you know
knows what
I'm
you're
saying?
talking about.
You've never humped a mattress? I fucking humped. I violated so many mattresses as a child. I didn't know anything about masturbation, right? What am I doing with this big old hard dick at 6? So while I'm thinking about Jessica Rabbit, I just realized that if you put pressure and you'd be like, oh, I'm humping a mattress now. Now I'm humping this mattress and Jessica Rabbit's in my head. This feels great. And you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm 6, so you don't ejaculate.
You can't deny the feeling.
Yeah, you don't ejaculate. You just sort of like that Biggie Smalls. That's how I looked when I finished. Just like, you know what I mean? It was just like, I don't know. But yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I humped a lot of mattresses, but Jessica Rabbit is fucking
That's
one
why
of the sexiest people on the planet.
Are the hardest thing to resell.
Yeah.
That's why the
'Cause they're
resale game on the
disgusting.
mattress market is terrible. Like every time
can't.
you get if
I
you
would
wanna
never buy a used
if
mattress.
you
I would
wanna-
never buy a used
If you want to
mattress.
resell a mattress, you will get 1/20th of what you paid max. I'm talking.
You gotta give that shit away for
bought it
free.
for $1,000.
Yeah.
You bought it for $1,000. $50 is the most you can get for your
You're
used
lucky if you
mattress.
get anything, and it has to be super nice because I'm like, look, people, don't ever buy no used mattress. You know what I do with my brand new mattress? I have my dick all up on it. I sleep naked. I sweat. My dick. I swear to God, my balls.
No,
leave
we're
little
sensing a
imprints.
theme here. You and mattresses and your dick are very close.
Yeah, it's because it's always on it every
Yeah,
night.
no,
I'm there.
exactly,
I
right?
should put a hole in the motherfucker. But it's just like imagine if that's
this
what I do.
relationship to the next level.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what I do to the mattress. What the fuck is someone else doing? You ever see, like, you take off the
Just
blankets
straight
from
pissing-
the
just
thing
straight
and
pissing on
you
it.
ever see stains on people's beds on
I
the
used to
mattresses?
put them on mattresses.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to wet my bed when I was a kid. So
Same here.
I used to destroy
ridiculous
Yeah,
amount of time.
I was bad.
I peed all the time. I peed through a mattress one time.
Me too.
I peed through the motherfucker.
No, I did
My
too.
mom was impressed. She said, "How much do you drink?" Because you peed through this and the board. I said, "God damn it!" I was hitting a straight stream.
I think it's probably something to do with just having a creative mind and an overactive mind where you're in your dreams and you're so far off on some other land that you just piss because you're just like, yeah, that's what I need to do. My body needs to do that right now. But I'm on this fucking crazy dreamland right now, so I'm not gonna. But we tried everything, like, because I was getting older and older, and it was like, man, is
I
this
was
kid
getting
gonna
the dreams.
Is
I
this
hated
kid gonna
that.
piss his bed forever? You know, it was
That's
like
how I
it was
felt.
brutal. And I remember being like 10 years old or something, and like I pissed my bed, and I was like, man, I'm 10 now. Like, I'm in the double digits of life, and I'm still pissing my bed.
Motherfucker, I pissed my
Like,
bed at 17.
If there's no, I know, but that's a one-off. This was like all the time.
I was pretty frequent until I would say by grade 9. I think I was at once every 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, that's pretty late though.
But,
like,
yeah, it went for a while. I pissed on a girl's back one time when I fell asleep. Yeah, man. I was dating this girl and I was spooning her and I peed the bed. And so I found out because she punched me in the face and woke me up like, yo, what the fuck? And I'm like, look, I peed on her back. And I was like, yo, I flip the mattress, take it off. I wash the thing. Like, I knew the whole routine.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, you just take this off. All right, we flipped. Did I pee all the way through? She's like, what the fuck? You peed on my back. Get out.
You're like,
And I
I've
was
been
like,
doing this.
I was like, well, I deserve that. I mean, I did pee on your back. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but I mean, how do you know it was me though? Like,
I think I might have shut it down somewhere around 11 or 12 finally, and that was late. I felt like I was like kind of getting grown at that point.
Yeah.
It was getting ridiculous. But when it stopped for me, it just stopped totally.
Yeah.
It didn't ever come
Yeah.
back. And I only ever once ever when I was like 21 and blackout drunk and that's a different kind of
Yeah,
piss
that's a
yourself.
different kind of piss
That's
yourself.
like you're almost dead. You shut your whole bodily system down and your
body's teaching you a
things just
lesson.
happen, right?
Yeah.
But I remember this funny story about this guy too. I think he passed away, rest in peace, but I didn't know him that well, but he's just my friend's friend. But we got put together at at a wedding to be in the same room because this guy was a pretty rowdy guy, right? So my friend's like, "Oh, I'll put Wayne with him; he'll be able to handle him, right?" And he was right. We handled each other fine. So we're at the wedding and we're dancing, and I noticed this girl there, and she's really nice. I'm dancing with her. We're kind of getting along. We're flirting and we're having a good time. And I'm like, all right, I'm at a wedding. I like the wedding energy, right? I flourish in this energy. It's just this new fun. Let's let loose. So we're having a good time with this girl and, getting a little closer and spinning her around and some dances and stuff. And then this guy comes out of nowhere, right? Just barges in between and grabs her and tries to start dancing with her. And she's like, kind of get off me, and we're kind of pushing him back. And he's like, oh, you looking at me, you son of a gun, you got in there, you got her, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, man, like, relax. Everybody's like, relax. And they usher him away. And she's like, cool. Like, she's just like, okay, weirdo, whatever, right? So anyways, I remember in the middle of the night, so I'm sleeping later that night, and I come back to the room, and this guy is like on the bed, fully clothed, passed out, face down, shoes on, everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
good
yeah,
blackout.
he hit the bed hard. Like, he came back with a boom, right? So, okay, I'm on the pull-out then. So I'm on the pull-out couch. In the middle of the night, this guy gets up. He stands up in the middle of the night, and I'm a light sleeper, so I notice him. I'm watching him in like the dim moonlight, right? And he gets up off the bed and he walks over to near the TV where his suitcase is. And his suitcase is on the ground and it's opened up like this. And he undoes his pants and he starts pissing in his suitcase, right? Only in his suitcase. Directly like filling up his suitcase, right? I'm sitting there. That's my reaction. I just start laughing, right? I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And I let it happen for like 3 or 4 seconds because I wanted to enjoy it for like 3 seconds before I warned him. So I'm like, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, yo, dude, you're fucking pissing you too. He's like, oh. So I jump out of bed and I lead him by his shoulders to the bathroom, and he's just pissing the whole way. And then I lead him, and he just starts filling up the bathtub, right? And I'm like, okay, I go back to bed.
Oh my God.
But I remember the girl that I was dancing, like the girl was there, like was with me, right? So the girl that I was dancing with, we had a sleepover that night. So he comes back, I go back to the pull-out couch, and he comes back and he looks at us and he goes, oh, you son of a gun, you got her, eh? And then boom, hits the bed out cold. And we're just like, what a mess, this guy, right?
Jesus
what a mess.
Christ.
So she gets out of there in the morning, and then like, we wakes up, and it's time to go. He's like, oh, geez, what happened last night? I'm like, well, to be brutally honest with you, I'll tell you exactly what happened. You woke up in the middle of the night and walked over there and started to piss in your suitcase and feel like, no, I fucking didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't do that. I'm like, yeah, then you filled the bathtub up with the rest. So you mind going in there and cleaning that up? Because I don't want to get charged extra for cleaning fees or something, right? And then we end up driving back home, and I told the story in the car again. He keeps denying it. It was pretty funny, but it was a fun. At least I had like I said, rest in peace to that guy's name was Cam, but at least I had a fun night with him that night.
Okay, let's get into Fix Your Life with Wayne and Sterling.
Oh, life hacks.
Yeah.
You got one? Or you want me to go?
I want you to go first because I'm interested to know what terrible fucking decisions that you're going to offer up, because you've hacked life. you shouldn't be here.
Right.
So I want to hear how Wayne survives.
All right, I'm gonna go mild and tame on this one though, for sure, to get started off. But and this is one that people already know. It's not that big, but I just want to stress the importance of it. But I believe when you travel, just the importance of like booking. If you're going for a vacation or a party or a bachelor party or a bachelorette or any sort of celebratory thing, book your return flight in the evening, in the afternoon or evening. Don't book a morning return flight, right? And it might seem as just like common sense, but the problem is that people often will try to save that $50 or that $100 because $750 for a flight looks better than $913. But if you did the math on it and you go, okay, so $163 or whatever, let's just say overall round trip, split both ways, $80 each way or something like that. Is it worth it if you have the time of your life on that Saturday night to then fly out the next morning at 8 a.m. just because you got a $100 cheaper flight or an $80 cheaper flight? When you might be out drinking, you might not even be someone that drinks, but that night was just a wedding or a celebration and you went a little too far, and now you got to rally the troops, rally your life, get everything all packed up and get out of there in the morning. You got to book that afternoon or late night flight so you at least have the day in case you need to rest. And the other thing is it gives you an opportunity to explore that city one last time. You can jump out and get a quick lunch or a lunch and a stroll in a neighborhood. Maybe find a store, maybe find something really cool that you haven't found and you wouldn't have found. I remember I was in New York and I did this. I had a late flight and I started walking down the Village and I found this store called The Little Lebowski. The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies, right?
Good
It's
movie,
this
great
hilarious
movie. Yeah, yep.
And I'm all about the dude, right? I found a store in the Village in New York that was The Little Lebowski, completely dedicated to the Big Lebowski. You go inside there and everything is just Big Lebowski, everything. And it's just a funny store that you would never see up here. You would never see it in certain cities. And I get to go, and I bought a shirt, and it was my favorite shirt. And that shirt ended up being a gift that I gave one of my best friends for his wedding. So it's like all this stuff happened just because I want to check a little bit more of that city out, take it easy on myself, book the later flight. If you have a job where you have to be there Monday morning, you might even want to consider taking that day off completely and then doing what I say and coming in, around a noon or a 2 p.m. on that day off and ease in for yourself, just treat yourself better. It's self-care meets traveling. It's self-care meets bachelor party. This is my life hack.
It's a great
That's a great life hack, man. All right, man. Here's mine. If you have trouble sleeping as a man, jerk off, and immediately when you ejaculate, you just stay there. Like, just let the mess happen. Cover yourself up in the shame, and try to sleep. I swear to you, if you masturbate before you go to bed, if you're having a hard time sleeping, just jerk off, man. Jerk off, and then let's stop laughing. I'm serious. Rub one out, and then have a nap. That's my life hack. Jerk off, get a night's nap. Have you ever tried that?
You know what's funny about that is like if someone wanted to debate my life hack, that's how they could answer it. They could be like, nah, I'm just gonna jerk off the night before, make sure I get that hours of sleep in.
Yeah.
I'm getting that morning flight, dude. I gotta get home, mow the lawn, and do all this stuff. What are you talking about, son?
Yeah.
I'm doing Sterling's life hack.
Yeah, Sterling's got the #1 life.
I'll tell you right now, man. Hey, and another thing,
I
don't
would say
know.
combine the two and just enjoy.
I don't know if this works for women, but I know for me as a comedian, if you have a big speech or performance, jerk off before that. Because what'll happen is your mind will be clear and you'll be able to speak better. You don't have your mind focused all over the place. If you're we've all seen this in Something About Mary. If you're going on a date with a hot girl, before you go on a date, jerk off.
Clean the
Why?
pipes.
Because then you're thinking with a clear head. Maybe you shouldn't be in this situation. Maybe she doesn't like you. Maybe she's just using you as dinner. But like, you can figure that out when you have a clear mind. Because when your dick is hard, nothing works up there. Nothing.
No, it's true, and that's interesting because they want the opposite for boxers. They want boxers to stay wild and rowdy and on point like a fucking bulldog. So they say don't have sex.
Yeah, because they're gonna hit people.
Because the aggression builds, especially if you're someone who has a partner or you have sex a lot, and then all of a sudden it's like no sex for 60 days before the fight.
Yeah,
you're gonna be. Especially if you're already always doing that.
That's why they punch each other for 12 rounds. That's why, because it takes 12 rounds of physical punching
just coming the
to
whole
get
time.
out 60 days.
Just little bits of cum
to get
come
out
every
60
punch.
days of not fucking.
Squeeze. By the time they're done, why are your shorts all wet?
My opinion is,
bring them down.
If you want a real life hack, Bob Marley figured it all out when they said, "What is your religion?" and he said, "Love."
Yeah,
that's it, baby.
That's key. Man.
Love is my religion, man.
That's key,
love is my religion. Because you know what? If you move with love, then you can never be in the wrong direction. And if any Bible you read, what is it for? They'll tell you it's an instructional manual on how one should live their life. And in simplicity, live with love. Mm-hmm. So that's my life hack, yo. Move with love.
Love that.
And jerk off if you can't sleep.
Love that. I love that you brought up Bob Marley at the end because I had a really interesting experience with Bob Marley's music this year. In January, I sustained a concussion snowboarding, and I've had multiple concussions, and they're not fun, and it's not good to get multiple concussions. You know, they know now that things like CTE are a real thing, and you can have this sort of thing moving forward. And I've probably had over a dozen concussions or more, and a lot of people have, but I just had a lot. And this one was not good. I'm older now, and I hit my head really hard, and you try to deny it once you get one. You're like, no, I don't have it. Once you've had a few, because you don't want it. This lasted 17 days where I was useless. I had to lay in the dark. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't do anything. But when I was driving back from the mountain, like the next day, I was really out of sorts in the car. Like, it's just hard to concentrate, and you're like, just kind of like uneasy, and you're like, fuck, I got another concussion. And you really like feel like you're maybe like heading towards about to puke, but you never do. It's just this uneasy feeling and confusion. And I'm trying to listen to music and everything's making it worse and worse. And then I hit the Bob Marley station and I turn the volume down and just have this nice Bob Marley. And every single song, every single reggae song that came on Bob Marley station, which encompassed like a whole bunch of reggae artists that were curated for that satellite radio, it like eased my pain. It was the only thing I could tolerate with this concussion was Bob Marley and like Bob Marley vibes. And it was such a confirmation of those chill vibes that Bob Marley brings, that love, that energy that brings, that I was like, wow, like even that can even cut through a concussion.
Every little thing's gonna be all right.
And that's a wrap.